What's going on, guys? Pete Nova here with the Faceoff Sports Network. We're one day away from the NFL draft, and I'm here solo. It's been a little bit since I went live here on Faceoff, but wanted to do one final mock draft pre NFL draft, which is going to be in about 24 hours. So I'm going to pick every single player in today's draft, and I might do some trades as well, right? I think we've gathered a lot of information. There's still tons of smoke screens out there, and I think there's going to be a lot of activity in this draft this year. It's going to be a fun draft. I mean, when we look back, we really didn't have an exciting free agency. Not a ton of moves were made, and so we're starving for some sort of drama, some sort of information. It feels like we're kind of just ready to kind of get to the day at this point. And so we're finally almost here. Like I said, we got the draft tomorrow, and so I'm going to do my best. We've done a couple of mock drafts here. I know some of the guys, the mediators, are going to go live later tonight, and they're going to do a final rookie mock draft and do their final one as well pre-draft. So I figured why not just go ahead and do an NFL mock draft and do my final NFL mock draft. So without further ado, checking on a little bit of news today before jumping in to the show. It's unlikely that Will Levis is going to be traded. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if once the pick is made, reports come out a week or two later that, he is not happy and he's requesting a trade. Would not surprise me. Some other news looks like the Texans are considering trading up. Feels like everybody's considering trading up, trading down. Rumors are everywhere. Christian McCaffrey has no restrictions, apparently, is what was reported today. Feels 100%, feels ready to go. So that'll be a fun topic and debate as we get closer to draft season. Brock Purdy also reports for OTAs amid contract discussions. George Kittle did skip OTAs, and there were some talks about is it contract related. He came out on Twitter pretty quickly and kind of squashed that and said, yeah, that has nothing to do with it. So not exactly sure why he's not there, but it's voluntary, so it is what it is. Patrick Mahomes, this was an interesting one on Rotoballer. It said Patrick Mahomes is itching to get explosive passing game back. I know there's talks about Tyreek Hill, and is he going to be traded? Maybe we see that them, maybe trade back for him. Who the heck knows? Would not surprise me, but that offense needs some explosiveness. Marquise Brown is coming back, but you have Rashee Rice, who, is coming off of that injury. How long does it take for him to get back into the swing of things and get healthy, as well as is he going to get suspended, right? So there's some concern there. And then Xavier Worthy, can he take that step in year two? There was a lot of trouble connecting with him and Mahomes last year. Can he take that leap in year two as a wide receiver? Let's see what else we got. Albert here said, "What's up, Pete? What's up, Albert? How you doing, man?" Sleaze is in here and said, "What's on the docket?" I'm down to hop in and chop it up. Sleaze, I'm doing just one more final mock draft. I'll get you on the show sometime soon, but I just want to just get my final one out because I've done these solo a few times. But I'll get you on here soon, buddy. I appreciate it, and I'll jump on your show at some point soon as well. But instead of BSing and talking, why don't I go ahead and pull up the board here? Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. And then, like I said, I'm going to be the one that's selecting all the picks in this one, guys. So let's go ahead. We're going to do one round here. Select all, and let's get into it. So I don't really think there's a ton to, I don't want to spend too much time, right, on the, on the Titans and, I mean, we pretty much know what the pick is, right, guys? I mean, it's going to be Cam Ward. I think that's pretty obvious at this point in time. So we'll just go ahead and grab Cam Ward off the bat, pretty quick and easy. I mean, look, when you look at this draft this year, this is not it's not an exciting draft from a quarterback position, though. feels like a lot of guys are being steamed up and now are being steamed back down because teams are desperate for quarterbacks, right? You look at the Saints, you look at the Steelers, you look at maybe the Rams as a contingency plan behind Matt Stafford, who does get locked up long term for a couple more years. Even Geno Smith, right? The Raiders were in the market for a quarterback, and maybe they take a swing at a guy late day two, early day three, who knows? But Cam Ward at the pick here for the Titans. I mean, it makes sense. This is a team that, look, if you watched Will Levis play last year, it wasn't pretty. So honestly, this is where it gets interesting. I mean, I feel like every year we kind of know who the number one overall pick is going to be pretty quick, and pretty much before the day, and then it kind of starts getting interesting from there. So I mean, the next pick here, I'm gonna go nice and easy. I'm just gonna go Travis Hunter, right? I think if you've listened to the reports and if you've listened to, pretty much the Browns GM and kind of how they view him, I think Hunter's skill set would give Stefanski kind of a unique weapon on offense. I think more and more teams are warming up to the idea of him playing wide receiver. Yeah, I think he's going to go here at 2. I mean, there's some conversations and some talks about, that the Giants and the Browns are looking to trade back. I mean, I don't really, to me, if the number 2 and the number 3 overall pick are looking to trade back, and look, Travis Hunter, it seems like, at least reports are saying, and the way it's coming off, is the most desirable player possibly in this draft. And so it is worrisome, though. I mean, if the number 2 and the number 3 pick are looking to move back, how convinced are they with the player? But at the same time, I think if you're not taking a quarterback and you're this high and you have a lot of needs on your team, why not, go ahead and try to accumulate more picks. It's just a shame that it's not a very good quarterback class, because if it was, they probably would be going quarterback here. Honestly, this is just based on what I think is going to happen, but I would think Abdul Carter would be a better pairing, to be honest with you. Pairing him up with Myles Garrett for the next minimum 5 years would be pretty scary. Myles Garrett did sign that contract extension, so he's locked up there long term. He's not going anywhere. But then you get to the Giants here at the 103, and Giants, like I said, again, we're rumored, are they going to take a quarterback? Are they not going to take a quarterback? I mean, Shador Sanders and the Giants, I mean, the Giants had spent the most time with Shador Sanders than pretty much any prospect. I mean, they did so much scouting on him and, brought him in. I mean, the fact that I just don't see them taking him here. Maybe they trade back in. That's definitely a possibility, and we'll see where that goes later on in my mock draft. But I mean, to not take him at 3 after all the scouting you've done, I mean, if there was a team that pretty much knows everything there is to know about Shador Sanders, it should be the Giants at this point. Not to say the Giants are the best quarterback evaluators, but I mean, they spent a ton of time on him, and the fact that they're likely not going to take him here at 3, in my opinion, is kind of crazy. But we'll go with Abdul Carter. I mean, Abdul Carter coming out of Penn State, right? 91.3, PFF grade. A little bit of a down year the year before, as opposed to, his freshman season. But I mean, overall, you're going to get a guy that's going to be a difference maker here for the Giants. Maybe you pair him up with Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence on that D line, Brian Burns. I mean, this could be a really scary unit. And maybe Thibodeau is a guy that they can maybe move. He hasn't really, in my opinion, lived up to the expectations so far for New York and what they've been looking for at the position, and pretty much for where they got him. It's a top 10 pick. I think he was top 5, if I remember too. So it's going to be Abdul Carter here for the Giants. The Patriots are an interesting one. I came out on Twitter recently, a couple months back, and I said Tet McMillan, he's got to be the guy here, right? I would think. I mean, I know they have a ton of issues on the O-line, but they did bring a lot of pieces in, and they still have the draft capital to, bring in guys in day 2. But, to me, I think Will Campbell is the pick here. So that's where we're going to go. Will Campbell out of LSU. And I know people are a little worried about the arms and everything, but, there was a good comp out there. I think it was Jason Peters, is a good comp for Will Campbell in terms of their size. And this is a guy that played really well. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you let him fail at tackle, and then worst comes to worst, you kick him inside, right? Like, you could have worse issues. I mean, even if he kicked inside, this is a talented player. He only gave up 2 sacks in 2024 at LSU, which is in a big time conference against top talent, and only 4 sacks in his career in 12, 13, 13, 26, 38 games. So to me, I mean, Will Campbell seems like a really logical pick here. I would love to see Tet there. Maybe it's just me being selfish because I'd like to see him paired up with Drake May, but I think Will Campbell at 4, makes a lot of sense. They got to build through the trenches, and I think we're going to see a lot of offensive linemen go here. In the top 15 picks. My next pick here is going to be Ashton Genty for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, you have a new regime with Liam Cohen and his team. And I mean, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm doing some more content over at Player Profiler now, and I did a running backs who could get nuked video over the weekend, and I said I think Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are in trouble. I think Ashton Genty could come into this room and cause a lot of issues for both of those guys who, look, for what it's worth, I mean, Tank Bigsby ran better last year, but he caught 7 passes. So from a fantasy standpoint, like, I know people are more in on Bigsby because, people weren't as heavily invested in him, and he didn't do bad last year, as opposed to Travis Etienne, who people spent high draft capital on, who absolutely stunk for us. But I think Ashton Genty, it really would not surprise me here at number 5. You're looking for a splash, right? And this offense, I mean, to help Trevor Lawrence and help set up the pass with a great running back like Ashton Genty and a difference maker in a class that really doesn't have a ton of elite talent. It could be a really good pick here. And so I'm going to stick to what I think is going to happen. And I think it's going to be Ashton Genty there, to the Jaguars. For I almost said Oakland Raiders. For the Las Vegas Raiders, it would be Genty if Genty was available, but I'm going to go with Armand Membao, out of Missouri, a really athletic player. If we pull him up, I mean, 6'3", 314 pounds, listed at 235, it said, but could use more consistency in his power. So I don't know, maybe he weighed in a little bit lighter at his most recent testing than what was updated here from Pro Football Focus. But yeah, I mean, you're going to get an absolute beast here at tackle and a guy that could be with this team long term, and a cornerstone piece. He looks like a guy that can bring that can bring a lot of athletic ability, especially in zone blocking. A quick mover, right? Has some power, and as you can see here, good production as a zone blocker. So I think that would make a lot of sense for this team. So I'm going to go with Membao here from Missouri to the Raiders at number 6. The Jets are next here, and the Jets are, man, I mean, when you think about what's on the board for them here, there's a lot of talk of, if Membao is there, do they go Membao, Membao? But you know, there's a lot of talk about Tyler Warren to the Jets, and man, I mean, to pass up on Brock Bowers last year and to go with Tyler Warren, it's such a Jet thing. Now, this is a new regime, right? So we can't sit here and say, oh, they won't take Tyler Warren because last year they passed on a tight end for a tackle, right? And it would be such a Jets thing to go with a defensive player here. I mean, in all reality, and I think at this point, I think Tyler Warren would be the pick if Membao is not there. So I'm going to go here with Tyler Warren to the Jets. I think when you this Jets team, they tend to draft defensive players. I feel like, I mean, how many times did they draft an edge? Um, and all these other defensive players first round in the last few years. But look, I'm not a big Justin Fields believer, but if you're going to give him an honest look, then bring in some more talent around him. Outside of Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin's not there. You have Brees Hall and a solid stable of running backs, but behind Garrett Wilson, there's really not much other talent. And so, get him a guy like Tyler Warren who can block as well as be a difference maker in the pass game. And so I think Tyler Warren at 7, it would sting for Jets fans because the better prospect was Brock Bowers last year, who actually went almost 6, 7 spots later than Tyler Warren, who you'd be taking higher, who isn't as good of a prospect. Tyler Warren's good. It's just testament to how good the class was last year and how many quarterbacks were in that class. It would sting, right? Because Brock Bowers looks like he's going to be generational. Now here at the Carolina Panthers, you know, Bryce Young, similar to Justin Fields, right? If you're giving him a chance, year 3, let's continue to give this guy some more talent, right? This offensive line is really good. They gave him a lot of time last year. And to me, why not continue to add on to that talent? And so I'm gonna go here with Tet McMillan out of Arizona. I don't really understand the shift on Tet McMillan and the amount of people that are just kind of hopping off board from Tet McMillan. I mean, I get it, as the process goes on, we start to enjoy or start to like other guys. But to me, Ted McMillan, I mean, he was a good football player. I mean, he lined up in the slot, over 100 times each year, so he can play inside outside. He pretty durable over his college career, right? I mean, 12 games, 13 games, 12 games, and 130 targets, 130 targets. I mean, he's a guy that dominated the target share. Now, I get it. This was an offense in Arizona, and it's not like he had a ton of talent around him, right? And so, I totally understand that. But I think overall, when you look at what this team could need, um, it would make a lot of sense, to go ahead and bring in another passing weapon. And give me 1 second, guys. I'm taking a small break here because uh, I am going and trying to get something up here for the show really quick, on the fly. So just hang tight with me just a second. Let's see here. Just be patient. Let's see. And if you guys have any, I mean, what are your surprises, right? Are there, are there certain players or are there certain teams that you think are going to make a splash? Is there a certain player you want your team to pick, right? Tell me what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them as well. Like I said, I'm kind of stalling here because I'm trying to do something on the back end here for the show. All right, we're good. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so I'll go ahead and select Ted McMillan here. And I did already. So perfect. I'm a little disheveled right now, guys. So if you're here and you're just joining, bear with me. I am trying to do like 9 things at once right now. Slee said, never too high. McMillan beat up on bad defense and struggled heavy versus good competition. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how the I think people got scared away from the 40. And look, you're in a 4.58, but that was at a pro day, and we're never going to know how accurate that is because pro day times are always misleading. But I mean, look, this is a guy that had a 44.4% college dominator rating. which is pretty much, if you're not familiar, it's the combined percentage of total team receiving yards and total team receiving touchdowns accumulated by a wide receiver, a 30% target share, and he broke out at 19 years old. Like a young breakout age like that is always super encouraging. I mean, 31 in terms of the arm length, 6'4". I mean, to me, he's the prototypical player that you're looking for. I get it. Matthew Golden ran a really fast 40, but their college production just wasn't there for Matthew Golden. And he played on a better team with a better quarterback. I mean, so I'm going to go with Tet McMillan here. I think it makes a lot of sense for Bryce Young. Go ahead and give him a security blanket, a big red zone threat, and see what he can do. And yeah. Moving on to pick number 9. This is the Saints, and you talk about a team that likes to select defensive players, right? This is a team in the Saints that, I mean, it feels like that's what they do. They draft edges. They continue to invest in the trenches. I love Mason Graham, right? I think Mason Graham, in my opinion, is the best defender in this class. I get it. Abdul Carter is a freak. I get it. People want to talk about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is not the best defender in this class. He's a unicorn. He's a freak athlete. And so, he can become, because he has those tools. But when you look at Mason Graham, I mean, people are afraid of the arm length and the size. But I mean, look at what Aaron Donald did. I mean, size wise, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's Aaron Donald per se. But I think Mason Graham is going to be a guy that's going to be a disruptor. I have trouble here, though. Walter Nolan is a guy that's steaming up boards as well. I'm going to go with Mason Graham here, though, to the Saints at number 9. I think they're going to go defensive line, and I think it's going to be Mason Graham or Walter Nolan. I think that's the pick for me. And yeah, if you could hear my dog, he's barking in the background. So, all right, moving on here to the next pick. It's going to be the Chicago Bears, who at this point miss out right on Ashton Genty, right, and some other talent that probably would have liked to bring in. I think this is another team that's going to continue to build through the trenches, and I think whether that's on the offensive side or defensive side of the ball. I think they will continue to build through the trenches there. Give me one sec. All right. Yeah. Always a little harder when you're running this solo by yourself. And of course, I have a million things going on today. So, with the Chicago Bears, I mean, I think it's trenches, right? I think that's where they're going. you know, I just have the vibe, right, that this is going to be. I hate to say it because I know a lot of fans, especially out of Chicago, like don't love the idea of Kelvin Banks Jr., but I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be the pick. I think they're going to continue to add to that offensive line. I know they added some pieces there, but I think they're going to continue. It could definitely be a Walter Nolan guy because they could still add to the defensive side of the football, but I think we're going to see a lot of offensive linemen go. And I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is definitely going to be one of them. You could see an offensive lineman go to the Saints too. I mean, Ryan Ramczyk just retired. They've had some issues on that offensive line as well. I know they drafted there last year, but we'll see. But here for the 49ers, another team that has some offensive line concerns, right? You have the man, the myth, the legend, Trent Williams, right, who is getting up there in age. And we've already got 2 tackles off the board here. Do we go tackle here? Is it a Josh Simmons pick, right? Or do they go ahead and take Walter Nolan? I think Walter Nolan is going to be the pick ultimately here. I think San Francisco believes in their ability to develop at the position. And so we're going to go with Walter Nolan here at 11 to the San Francisco 49ers, who could definitely use some help there on the interior, on the D line. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, the team that's quote unquote all in, who, I mean, all in. Who really knows what Jerry means by all in? I don't know if Jerry understands what he means by all in. But when you look at the Cowboys, right, they could use some help at running back. They could use some help at wide receiver. I think ultimately, I think this team goes out and they bring in a wide receiver, and a difference maker, right? And I mean, I personally don't have Matthew Golden as my number 2 wide receiver in this class, but I think with the 40 time with Jerry, and just the ability to match him up with CeeDee Lamb and provide a deep downfield threat to stretch the field, which CeeDee Lamb can do as well. I think Matthew Golden's going to end up being the pick here. So I'm going to go with Matthew Golden here to the Cowboys. Then you bring up the Dolphins, who is another team that has offensive line concerns. They just lost Armstead, and I'm going offensive line here, right? Could it be guard? Could it be tackle? It's going to be tackle, right? This is a much deeper class at tackle, and look, to me, like unless it's a guard is generational or a center is generational, you generally don't pick a player at that position in the top 15 picks, right? The hit rate for players at guard and center is super high on day 2. You can find those guys. Not to say that they're replaceable and this and that, but I mean, it's an easier position to find. Tackle is just a really hard. I mean, you're talking about the best of the best on the edge, and you need playmakers, and it's hard to find tackles that can hold up in the NFL because there's just so much good talent on the edge. So I'm going to go with Josh Simmons out of Ohio State here to the Dolphins, help shore up that line, make sure Tua, who they did invest a lot of money in, can stay upright and healthy. So that's going to be the pick for me there. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts, a team that you likely could use some help on the defense side of the football. They did invest there. Could use some help at tight end, at guard. They did bring in some safety help, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with Mike Green here, edge out of Marshall. I don't know if that's our first. That might be our first edge rusher off the board. No, I'm sorry. Obviously, you have Abdul Carter there. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mike Green for the Colts there. I think they would have liked to get a tackle possibly, but I think at this point, with the way the board falls, I think they'll go defense here. Speaking of another team that, likely to go defense, the Atlanta Falcons, right? This is another team who could really use the help. They've been linked to the edge rushers, right? This team was at the bottom of the NFL in edge rush. I think there's a good chance that we see them go ahead and attack that position. My thing here is, you know, could they go Jahdae Brown, right? Cornerback out of Texas, who, pretty flexible in terms of where he lines up. He lined up a lot in the slot, lined up in the box, lined up a corner, like guy that moves all around the field. Like they need the help. But I think edge is a more impactful position. And, it's really about which one of these guys are they in love with, or who do they like? And I think for me, I kind of struggle here because I want to say Mikael Williams. I think that might be a little too high for him. Do they take a chance on James Pierce Jr. or go as, Donovan Aruzaraku? I'm going to go with Donovan Aruzaraku out of Boston College. I know that the Falcons, I put money on it, that they're going to go ahead and draft on the defensive side of the football. Moving on to the next pick, it's going to be the Cardinals. And Cardinals have some issues too. I think this becomes a really easy pick for them, though. It's going to be Jahdae Barron out of Texas, right? They have some concerns and some needs there at the cornerback position, and so yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense there. Moving to the Bengals here, guard, D line, linebacker. Let's go take a look at the defensive line, for example, or for a second here. You have Kenneth Grant, you have Derek Harmon. I would guess it's between the two of these guys. I don't have Tylik Williams or Norman Lott. I do like Lott, but I don't have them ahead of him. I don't even have them ahead of Darius Alexander. I have these two up here, and then I have Kenneth Grant at the top. I'm going to go ahead and go with Kenneth Grant, right? I think it's a defense that needs a lot of help, and I think they're going to attack and draft a running back at some point. And I know people think I'm crazy for that, but I do think they're going to bring in a running back. But I think first round here, let's go with Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks, needs center, guard, edge. You know, Gray's Able is an interesting pick here. Do we see them take a chance on a guy like him who coming from a small school, listed here at tackle, but showed at the Senior Bowl that he could play on the inside as well. Had a decent amount of snaps, earlier on in his collegiate career. At guard, did play right tackle, played left tackle, showed that he can be versatile and play all over. Is that a possibility here? I mean, I certainly could see it. I'm also going to take a look at the edge rushers here for them because, defensive minded head coach, I could also see them attacking that side of the football as well. Yeah, I'm going to go with James Pierce Jr. here. I know people have concerns about him there's some personal stuff in the background and, people are worried about that. But I think it makes a ton of sense there for them. They could definitely use the help on that side of the football. Then you sit here at 19 with the Buccaneers and, you see edge, you see linebacker, you see DB. They just need help on defense in general. There's a defense that was really injured a lot last year as well. And, it's a team that needs to get better on that side of the football. I'm going to take a look at the comments in just a second because with the way my screen is set up, I actually can't see the comment section right now. So let me take this pick and then I'm going to circle back to the comments and see if we have anybody here. But yeah, I think Jihad Campbell out of Alabama would be a smart pick here. Maybe attacking a guy like Will Johnson, but there's concerns about the medicals for him. So I'm going to go with Jihad Campbell here. Notice I haven't really done any trades yet. I'm sure there will be some trades. I said I was going to do some trades, but you know, maybe if I'm feeling frisky, I'll cook something up here, but nothing is coming to mind at the moment, but I'm sure there will be some trades for sure. But yeah, so we're sitting here at Denver at 20, my team, the Denver Broncos. And look, I think it's D line or it's edge. I mean, it's D line or it's running back. If the Denver Broncos were to go D line, and Derek Harmon was there, that would be the guy. I think it's between Derek Harmon and I think it's between one of these running backs. I know we're talking about Omarion Hampton. We're talking about Trevion Henderson. I think ultimately my guess is going to be Trevion Henderson over Omarion Hampton. I just feel it in my gut. I just feel like that's going to be what the pick is for them. Then you have the Steelers here. And look, we're going to go ahead and take the guy. I think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. This is a guy that's now fallen a little bit in projections for where people think he's going to go. I think this is fair. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be bad in the NFL. I have my concerns with him, but at the end of the day, I don't think he is a top 10 pick. And it's nice to see for the team, at least, that a team is likely not going to have to reach in the top 10 for a guy like him. And look, maybe he proves some people wrong as to why he maybe should go that high. But I think that's pretty fair at 21, and Steelers don't have to give up any draft capital to trade up to go ahead and get him. But let's take a look at some of the comments here. Slee said wanted the 49ers to take Calvin Banks Jr. Yeah, I mean, I could see the 49ers absolutely taking a tackle. I think we're going to see a lot of tackles pushed up into the top 15. So I think if I had to guess, I think we're going to see four, maybe even five in the top 15. It really wouldn't surprise me with the way this quarterback class is. What if the Dolphins deal Tyreek? A lot of cryptic messages around once Hayden Winks dropped that tweet. Yeah, I think the Dolphins are very much in play to draft a wide receiver, maybe like a Luther Burden. in the round. Really wouldn't surprise me. I could definitely see them just hedging there, but they need the help at the offensive line position. But I can see a draft day trades happening. Mark Andrews, Dallas Goddard, I think are two very likely, as well as Jalen Ramsey. I would say Jalen Ramsey, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goddard, and Tyreek Hill. I think we'll see at least two trades out of those four guys. Zach Linton in the house said, Pete, what's up, Zach? How's it going, man? It's been a little bit. Nice to see you, brother. Yeah, I took Zach, I took for your Patriots. I took Will Campbell. So I'm not sure how you feel about that, but let me know. Now we're sitting here with the Chargers. Look, I mean, if Colson Loveland is still on the board at this point in time, the Michigan ties with Harbaugh, it's way too hard to ignore. I think Colson Loveland is the pick here. They brought in Evan Ingram. They tried to fix quote unquote the tight end position. I think they brought in Tyler Conklin as well as an acquisition. They didn't sign Evan Ingram, right? And I think with the relationship there with Harbaugh and just the need at the position, I think it makes a lot of sense. So we're gonna go with Colson Loveland to the Chargers, and then the Green Bay Packers, right? They could use some help at the cornerback position as well, wide receiver, edge. You know, I let me check out the corners here and see who's left. Will Johnson, Trey Amos, Maxwell Harrison, Benjamin Morrison. If they were going to go anybody, I think it'd be Trey Amos here. And then maybe at the edge position, I could definitely see Mikael Williams as well, being the pick here. Mm, Yeah, I'm going to go with Mikael Williams here, for the Packers. I think it would be a good fit for them. They're at edge. And then you have the Green Bay Pack. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings here, at 24. Look, a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but I think D line is very much in play for them here. You could also look at the fact that Malachi Starks is still there. We still have some really good players on the board. Maybe it's Derek Harmon. I don't think a running back is in play here. I know PFF says that, but I don't think it is. And maybe they take a running back, but I definitely don't think they're investing in the position round one. But at the DB position, I think you look at safety. Malachi Starks and Nick Amonwari are still there. And I think I'm going to go with Malachi Starks here. I think he's the pick for them, at 24. I think they could use some help on the back end of that defense, and Brian Flores would absolutely love that pick. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Nick Amanwari as well, but I think that's the pick. Then you look here at the Texans, who need offensive line help as well. And if we're at this stage in the draft and these are the guys left at O-line, and the Texans need help, I think Texans probably make a move up to go get an offensive lineman. So you're hearing it now, but I'm going to call my shot there. I think the Texans definitely trade up, in the first round to go get an offensive lineman. And I think that's what's going to happen. But for the sake of the mock, because I haven't done a trade just yet, I'm going to hold off there. Maybe there's a trade coming towards the end, because I do think Jackson Dart's going to get drafted first round, just not sure where. But you look at this team here, the Chiefs need offensive line help, and Josh Connerly is pretty much the only guy left outside of Gray Zabel. And you look at the Rams, who probably need the help as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take Josh Connerly. I think they could also use a wide receiver, but I'll go with Josh Connerly, for for the Houston Texans there. And then you sit here with the LA Rams, who could also use help at tackle, tight end, linebacker, corner. I'm going to go ahead and attack the defense here for them, with Trey Amos. I like the fit there. I think they'll continue to build on that young defense. You're sitting here now with the Ravens, and they could use some help on the inside as well as edge and DB. I think let's take a look at the edge here. Maybe Shamar Stewart. It really wouldn't surprise me if they take a guy like him. Yeah, let's go with Shamar Stewart here for the Ravens. Just an athletic freak who could fit into that offense and give them some that defense and give them some help. Um, we sit here with the Lions now, and Lions need some help as well at wide receiver, edge, guard, linebacker. Let's go ahead and take a look at guard here on the interior, and let's go with Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I think that's a sweet spot for him. I know some people have him projected to maybe go top 15, top 20. I don't see it. It's just not a generational talent, and it's a position that is easy to find, guys. Day two. Let's take a look at the comments real quick. Zach Lynn said Campbell is what everyone is saying, but I want them to trade back at least twice to somewhere in the teens. Yeah, I could definitely see a trade back. I definitely see that as a possibility. I just don't know how many teams want to trade up unless they think there's a possibility of getting Genty, right? If there's some heat that if the Bears really want Genty and they think there's a possibility the Jags take him, and obviously I think the Raiders will take him if he's there, maybe they can trade back to 10 with the Bears. But how much does that cost the Bears to move up to go get him? So we'll see. Juan said, what are three running backs you guys think that are worthy of getting picked up in the first and second round for next year's fantasy draft? I guess Juan, I don't know if you're referring to guys in this class. Like, are you asking for, hey, is there going to be guys like Genty and any of these running backs in this class that can maybe will be worthy of picking up in first and second round for this coming draft, or maybe foreshadowing and looking ahead at next year? Go ahead and resend that in, and I'll happily answer that. And then Zach said Carter Hunter have to fall. I need another quarterback to go in the top three. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get another quarterback at top three. Shador Sanders is like minus 350. I think I read, to like not go top 10 at this point. I don't think it's happening, but we'll see. I mean, there's gonna be a lot. I think there's gonna be a lot of movement, for sure. A lot of trades, definitely. I definitely see that happening. Now you look at Washington. We got running back, guard, edge, corner. Um, if you like Gray Zabel and you think he can kick inside, I think Washington, as much as I'd love to see them add some flashy pieces, I think Gray Zabel to Washington at 29 would be a good pick for them. It would make a ton of sense. So let's go with the Gray Zabel there from Washington. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this, and it's fine. Jalen Walker has not gotten selected yet. I just couldn't find a spot for him, right? I mean, it's hard, right? He's a linebacker, but if you look at his profile, and where he's lined up, he's lined up on the D line. He's lined up on the box. I don't love players that just don't have true positions. Some people will say, "Oh, it's great versatility," but sometimes these guys just get fucked up because coaches just don't know how to mold them and grow them. I guess that's a weird way to say it, but they just don't know how to get these guys in the right spots to help them with their growth. But let's go with Jalen Walker here from Buffalo. And then you sit here at 31 and 32 for the Chiefs and the Eagles. Chiefs kind of miss out on the interior. I mean, on the O line. I don't think there's really a guy at this point that I would be taking for them. Guard, tackle, D line. It's just yeah, there's some holes here. Derek Harmon, I think, is a guy that they could pick, and I'll go with Derek Harmon here. Again, it's just one of these things where it's just like there's so many guys that I don't know. I for some reason, I don't think Derek Harmon and Jalen Walker are going to fall this far back. I definitely don't. But I tried to take Harmon up a little higher. Jalen Walker, I just couldn't find a spot for him. I mean, some people think Harmon and Walker are going to go top 10. I mean, that's a possibility, which is the craziest thing. Those are two wild cards for me. But at this last pick for the Eagles, I'm predicting. And I know it seems like a lot of people have predicted this, but it's possibly best player available for them. But I think the rumors of Dallas Goedert being moved are very possible. I'm gonna go with my guy Mason Taylor here. I think it's very possible that Mason Taylor gets selected in the back end of the first round. Again, this is kind of strange. It's not how I expected the mock to completely go, because there's a couple of guys that I didn't expect to fall that far, like Jalen Walker, like Derek Harmon. But I definitely see this as a possibility. There's also going to be so many trades. I mean, if I had to guess over under 5 trades, I would say, if the line was set at 4.5 trades, I'd go over. I really truly think there's going to be a lot of movement tomorrow, just because there's teams that are looking to move back because they don't think there's a lot of top tier talent, and there's maybe some teams that are going to force themselves to fall in love with guys and maybe go up because they think there's going to be a drop off in talent. Just to recap, we have Cam Ward to the Titans, we have Travis Hunter to the Browns, we have Abdul Carter to the Giants, Will Campbell to the Patriots, Ashton Genty at 5 to the Jags, Membao, tackle out of Missouri, to the Raiders, Tyler Warren to the Jets, Tet McMillan to the Panthers, Mason Graham to the Saints, uh, Calvin Banks Jr. at 10 to the Bears, Walter Nolan at 11 to the 49ers, Matthew Golden at 12 to the Cowboys, Josh Simmons at 13 to the Dolphins, Mike Green at 14 to the Colts, Devane Azuzaraki, however he said it, edge to the Falcons, Jade Barron, cornerback slash, hybrid Swiss Army knife corner to the Cardinals at 16. Kenneth Grant, 17 to the Bengals, D-line out of Michigan. James Pierce Jr., edge, Tennessee to the Seahawks. Jihad Campbell here, linebacker to the Bucks. Trevion Henderson to the Denver Broncos at 20. Shador Sanders, 21 to Colorado. Not to the Steelers. Jesus. Colson Loveland at 22, tight end to the Chargers. Josh Connerly, 25 to the Texans. You have Trey Amos, 26 to the Rams, cornerback. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher, 27 to the Ravens. Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama at 28 to the Lions. Gray Zabel, tackle out of North Dakota State, who's likely going to kick into guard or center to the Washington Commanders at 29. Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia at 30 to the Bills. Derek Harmon, D lineman, Oregon at 31 to the Chiefs. And Mason Taylor, my guy at tight end, LSU to the Eagles at 32. And that's really going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is going to be a fun next couple of days. Enjoy yourselves. Hopefully your teams do what you want to do. And, it's there's always going to be a lot of GMs that end up looking stupid. Hopefully nobody pulls a Falcons Michael Penix tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be somebody that has some egg on their face. But appreciate you guys tuning in. The Mediators will be live tonight with their final rookie mock draft. If you do want to get into that, I believe they're going to open that up to listeners and followers to possibly draft with them as well. We're also probably going live tomorrow during the draft. So keep your notifications on, and if you want to hang out with us, while the draft is going on and give us your thoughts, we'd love to hear from you guys. But that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.